In East Bay, California, there was a band that was formed by two youngsters named Billy Joe Armstrong and Mike Dirnt. But nobody ever imagined that one day they would become the famous rock band known only as Green Day. But how did Green Day become such a famous rock band? And why did they become a rock band? Does the band have a fourth member? Does Billy still play the guitar he got from his mother? Was Green Day banned from playing at Gilman Street? Has Armstrong acted in shows and movies? What was their life like before fame? It's time for me to answer all these questions and more, since this is ASMR. Aaron, back at it again with another daily video to help you relax. So lay back and enjoy the ride. I hope this read helps you get you through your day, or even better, I hope this video helps you gently fall asleep. I can't wait to get started. This is the tale of Green Day. Green Day arose from Northern California underground punk scene in 1987. Childhood friends Billy Joe Armstrong on guitar and vocals, and Mike Dirnt bass. His name, Mike Pritchard, formed their first band, Sweet Children, in Rodeo, California, when they were just 14 years old. By 1989, the group had added drummer Al Sabrante and changed his name to Green Day. That same year, the band independently released its first EP, 1,000 Hours, which was well received in the California hardcore punk scene. The debut full-length 39 Smooth and the Sleepy EP arrived soon after in 1990. By 1991, the group had signed a contract with a local independent label, Lookout. Combined their first three efforts into the compilation, Green Day issued 1039 / Smooth Out Slappy Hours for the label. And shortly after its release, the band had replaced Sabrante with Trey Cool. His real name when he was born was Frank Edwin Wright III, who became the band's permanent drummer. Billy Joe Armstrong was born on February 17, 1972, the youngest of 6 children to Andy and Ollie Armstrong from Rodeo, California. The family was strict working class. Andy was a truck driver while Ollie worked as a part-time waitress at Rodeo's Hickory Pit. A musical atmosphere surrounded Billy. From the birth, his father was a jazz drummer, and his mother, whom Andy Armstrong met at a gig, shared the love of music and dancing. Billy Joe and his siblings were always encouraged to learn to play instruments, especially drums. When Billy was 5 years old, his mother took him to the Platini's, a local music shop, to sign him and his sisters up for piano lessons. The owner thought that he had potential and brought him into the studio to hear his voice, and she was astonished. We did his got the whole world in his hands, and he could just move and change keys and sing right on pitch, remembers Marie Louise Fattoroni. I hope I said that right. Billy was the bright into the record Look for Love, a 7-inch vinyl that pressed 800 copies and earned the Budding Star 500 Worldwide article in the newspaper. After he made the album, Andy put his youngest son's potential to good use and took him on a mini tour of Northern California, where elderly women fawned over the cute boy with a great voice. At 7 years old, his parents brought his guitar to celebrate his success. Unfortunately, when Billy was 10, his father Andy was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. 4 months later, in September 1982, fortunately Andy passed away. To support her 6 children, Ollie began working full-time at her waitress job, therefore keeping her away from the family for much of the time. Billy confronted himself with records of bands his brother passed down to him, particularly the Beatles, and focused on learning to play guitar and had an uncanny talent for. For Christmas one year, Ollie bought him the guitar that changed it all, Blue, from his guitar, and since then it appeared on almost every Green Day record and tour. Michael Ryan Pritchard was born on May 4th, 1972, in Oakland, California. His mother put him up for adoption soon after his birth because of her powerful addiction to heroin. When Michael was 6 years old, Charlene Nasir and Patrick Pritchard took him on to a foster child, and they would eventually become his legal adoptive parents. His parents divorced when he was 7, after which time Mike briefly stayed with his father, but eventually moved to Rodeo, California, to be with his mother and sister, Malikla. Billy Joe and Mike Dirt met at 10 years old while attending Crocones Middle School, and they formed an instant bond. I think they just allowed each other to be themselves, says Billy. His sisters Ann Armstrong and Nobody Likes You, 2006. Soon after Billy began teaching Mike how to play guitar, and he picked it up very quickly, the duo began jamming, which turned into songwriting sessions that they took very seriously, which made them a tight unit even before they had any rhythm section. By the time the boys were in the 10th grade, they had added friends Sean Hughes on the drums. By 11th grade, the whole band had transferred to Pinole Valley High School. They also had a permanent name, Sweet Children, after trying such oddities as Condom and Discreet Youth. Billy Joe and Mike dove into the punk scene, smoking weed and honing their craft. Eventually, they met up with their other punk kids in the area. With them, they finally felt as they fit in somewhere, and that somewhere was 924 Gilman Street, the launching point of Green Day's explosive career. Through the early 90s, Green Day continued to attract a cult following, which only gained strength with the release of their second album, 1992's Kerplunk. The underground scene success of Kerplunk led to the wave in interest from major record labels, and the band eventually decided to sign with Reprise. Dookie, Green Day's major label debut, was released in the spring of 1994. Thanks to MTV's support of the initial single Longview, Dookie became a major hit. The album continued to gain momentum through the summer with its second single, Basket Case. Spending 5 weeks on the top of American modern charts, at the end of the summer, the band stole the show at Woodstock 94, which increased the sales of Dookie. By the time the fourth single, When I Come Around, began its 7-week stay on the number 1 of modern rock charts in early 1995, Dookie had sold over 5 million copies in the U.S. alone. It wouldn't eventually top 10 million in America, selling over 15 million copies. And internationally, Dookie also won the 1994 Grammy in Best Alternative Music Performance. Green Day quickly followed Dookie with Insomniac in the fall of 1995. During the summer, they hit number 1 again on the modern charts with JAR, their contribution to the Onega soundtrack. Insomniac performed well internationally, entering the U.S. charts at number 2 and selling over 2 million copies by spring 1996. Yet none of its singles, including the radio favorite Brain Stew and Jaded, was as popular as those from Dookie. In spring of 1996, Green Day abruptly canceled a European tour, claiming exhaustion. Following the cancellation, the band spent the rest of the year wrestling with their new material before issuing Nimrod in late 1997. 3 years later, their long-awaited follow-up of rushly poppy record titled Warning was released. Another long-awaited preceded 2004's American Idiot, an aggressive rock opera that became a surprise success. A chart topper around the world, a multi-platinum Grammy winner, and easily the best-reviewed album of their career. Green Day revealed in the album's success, hitting numerous award shows and performing as part of a Live 8 in the July of 2005 that brought fall in the release of Bullet in the Bible, a concert album that documented the trio's expansive Idiot live show. With the popularity and commercial viability restored, in Green Day took over in several small projects before returning to the studio. They contributed a cover of John Lennon's Working Class Hero to the charity album Instant Karma, appeared in the Simpson movie, and recorded an entire album of 60s style rock and roll, the last of the Foxbird Hot Tubs. While presenting an award, the Grammys, in the early 2009, the band announced that the impending release of Green Day's 8th album, 21st Century Breakdown, which was been recorded by the veteran producer Butch Vig. In May of 2009, 21st Century Breakdown was released, picking up where American Idiot left off, in another ambitious punk rock opera. The album was a commercial success, selling over 215,000 copies in the first 3 days of sales. In 2009, American Idiot was adopted for the stage, and following the year, Green Day lent their talents to the original cast recording, combining a driving score with Broadway vocal arrangements. The band released the live Awesome as F in 2011. During the summer of 2012, Green Day unveiled their ambitious plans for fall and winter and would release not one, but 3 albums. The records Uno, Dos, Tres would appear in September 2012. November 2012 and January 2013, respectively, with each individual band member gracing one of the album covers on his own. The first, appropriately called Uno, was preceded by the disco rock single Kill the DJ and the anthemic arena rocker. Oh Love, Uno was set for a splashy release in September 12th, but the weekend prior to its release, Billy Joe Armstrong had an on-stage breakdown during a set Green Day played with iHeartRadio Music Festival in Las Vegas. Days later, it was announced that Armstrong entered rehab for substance abuse. Not long afterwards, the band's touring plans for 2013 were canceled. Dos arrived as scheduled in November 2012, and Trey was moved up to December release. Demolitious, if I said that right, a collective of 18 demo records during the making of the Uno Dos Tres trilogy, showed up in time for 2014's Record Store Day release schedule. In 2015, Green Day were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Following their induction, producer Rob Cavallo announced that he had started work on a new album with the trio. As they recorded the new record, Green Day released a single called Xmas Time of the Year for the 2015 holiday. The raucous Bang Bang was the first taste of the 12th record, Revolution Radio, which arrived in 2016. The album topped the charts around the globe and featured the radio hit Still Breathing, A year later, the group released a career-spanning compilation called Greatest Hits God's Favorite Band, which included the previously unreleased Back in the USA. Another Respectiveness release arrived in 2019, commemorating the band's 25th anniversary of playing Woodstock in '94. Green Day Live Woodstock 1994 received a limited pressing for the record store and debuted at number 156 on the Billboard 200. If you're wondering who that fourth guy is in Green Day, that's Jason White, a touring musician with the band since 1999. He officially became a member in 2012. He also happens to be the lead singer of Armstrong's other band, Pinehead Gunpowder. If you have been to a Green Day show anytime in the last 30 years, you have noticed that Billie Joe Armstrong playing a blue and white Fernandez Stratocaster, if I said that right, with stickers and his initials on it. That's Blue, the first electric guitar he ever owned, a gift from his mother. He can still see Armstrong playing Blue to this very day. The guitar is so iconic, in fact, there is a company that makes replicas of the Strat for purchase. When Green Day signed to a major label, Warner Reprise, the band was banned from playing at the famed 1924 Gilman Street, where they got their start. The band recently got this ban overturned when they played the venue during a benefit concert. There is currently a tribute album in the works to benefit the venue, featuring up-and-coming Bay Area bands covering Green Day's album Dookie. Armstrong has acted in several shows and movies as well as Broadway. This includes a role in John Rocker's, who also directed Green Day's documentary Heart Like a Hand Grenade, Live Freaky Died Freaky, as Charles Manson, a brief appearance in the episode of Nurse Jackie, and starring roles in the indie films like Sunday, Like Rain, and Geezer. Armstrong also finished out American Idiot's Broadway run as St. Jimmy. Billie Joe Armstrong married Adrienne Nasir on July 2, 1994, whom he met earlier during one of his performances. They have two sons, Joseph Maracchino Armstrong and Jacob Danger Armstrong. Dirnt married his first wife, Anastasia Sermon, in 1996. They divorced in 1999. Anastasia and Dirnt had a daughter together, Estelle Desiree, one of those two, I'm not good at pronouncing, who was born on December 20th, 1996, who won full custody of his daughter in the summer of 2008 and took her to live in Oakland. In 2004, he married a girlfriend, Sarah Garrity, in a private villa in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. The two divorced the same year. On March 14, 2009, he married Brittany Cady in a private ceremony in Brittany's hometown of Ojai, California. Dirnt has two children with Cady, a son, Brixton Michael, born October 11, 2008, and a daughter, Ryan Ruby May, born November 29, 2010. And so ends the tale of Green Day, the famous rock band who lived happily ever after, touring the world so the fans can continue to enjoy their music.